Hey everybody, so nice to see you. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays, oh wisdom seekers that you are. My name is Reverend Denise Schubert, and I am coming to you as from Unity, Naples, this wonderful Unity community in Naples, Florida. So wherever you are, welcome to our Wisdom Wednesday service. So take a moment, if you're on with me, take a moment to say hello. You know, we're coming together. We come together every Wednesday simply really to just explore awakening, to explore being our authentic selves, to explore how to be in spiritual community, all of those things really. And this month at Unity, we're exploring what it means to be awakened, or what it means for the world to be awakened. And it's kind of inspired me for tonight because it's like that's such a, what does that mean? And if you're awakened, how do you live in an unawakened world that's waiting for all of us to awaken itself? So it's kind of a big idea. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, the ego versus spirit. But before we do that, let's just check in with each other, create a little bit of community here. I have Jesse and Amy with me tonight to sing, to anchor us in a moment of meditation, and to also sing a song for us later on. We're here for about 40 minutes, 35, 40, 45 minutes. We'll see. A little bit depends on if you ask questions or want additional thank you. Thank you, Facebook user. I think it's Nancy. Thank you. So, so how are you all doing this week? You know, it's been a good week. We lifted our mask requirement at Unity this week. So we have set aside a part of the sanctuary for people who want to wear masks with masked people. But it was glorious. We had 150 people in service on Sunday. It was just so wonderful. So we continue to grow and glow for God, which is all I could ever want, really, is to know that people are growing spiritually. So why don't we take a moment and center down a little bit to come out of our week. You know, part of our coming together is to breathe and to exhale and to ground ourselves, to remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, that we are so much more than the circumstances of our life dictate, that we are actually the creator of our life circumstances. That is the truth. Whether you like them or don't like them, we still are a co-creator. We are a participant in our own life. So we want to make this time a spiritual time. You know, we want to live a spiritual life of spiritual meaning, spiritual practice. Doing so assures our happiness and peace of mind, assures that we will make a difference in our lives. So let's have a moment of meditation with Amy and Jesse. They're going to sing a beautiful song for you. And it's just about 2 minutes. So why don't we just be together with them? You can either meditate, or if you want to, you can just sing along. So let's say hello to Amy and Jesse.
Good evening, wisdom seekers. Feel free to turn inward with us or sing along to one of our favorite chants. all peace, holy, holy, all in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. Let me know all is peace, holy, holy, all in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. Let me know all is good, holy, holy.
Oh, thank you, Amy and Jesse. Thank you. So let us just take a moment while I pray us in. Just simply join with me as we turn within to that secret, sacred place inside of us, the dwelling place of spirit, the dwelling place of the infinite, the dwelling place of that power and that presence, that life that I call God, but can be called by any name you like or by no name at all. Doesn't change. It doesn't change the fact that we live in an intelligent universe governed by love. And whatever that is, we accept it as a very essence of our own beingness. And so it's from that place that I know that we are a consciously connected community, that spirit is a glue that holds us together, that propels us forward, that anchors us in the present and moves us into our future. And to know that this evening, the time we spend together is time well spent, that we explore our divinity with one another. What better way to spend a Wednesday evening? So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for our time. We let this be, and so it is. Amen. All right. So welcome. So, so the lesson today really has to do with how do we, as we awaken, so there may be some, that's when we say that, like some people are awake and some people are asleep, it seems like maybe we're being snooty or elitist or judgmental, and it's not at all. So awakened purely just means that we achieve a different level of consciousness, that we achieve a space where we understand that we're more than our bodies, more than our past, more than our stories, that we come out of fear, doubt, and worry, that we understand that we live in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual principles, and that we strive to be that, because we understand that to be that means that the war, poverty, hunger, disenfranchisement will end. Awakened people do not harm other people. So being awake is just a state of consciousness, and it's not like black and white. It's not like I'm asleep, now I'm awake. I'm asleep, now I'm awake. It's like I was totally asleep, and now I'm a little bit awake. I was totally asleep, but I just had a new thought today. I was totally asleep, but now instead of raging at my husband, I was able to actually talk, or that I didn't take it personally. So awakened is truly just a different state of consciousness than not being awakened. I don't know. Was that clear? It's such a nebulous thing. I need some Botox. So the question then becomes, as you are becoming more aware of yourself as a spiritual being, as you're becoming more awake to the spiritual reality that we live and move and have our beingness in, like water to a fish, how do we cope with, deal with, talk to, or be with people who are not yet awakened? Because we'll come back to this in a moment, but when we're every single person and every single minute, including you and me, we are either living from the ego or we are living from the spirit. And it's not both. It says in the Bible, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve love and fear at the same time. You are choosing in every moment what you are doing, what you are thinking, what you are saying, how you are acting. Now, this is a little bit of a conundrum. It's a conundrum because in some ways, when we awaken, when we start our spiritual journey, some teacher is going to tell you that you need to let your past go. You need to forgive your past. You need to You need to not let it affect you so deeply. And at the same time, that spiritual teacher is going to tell you that at the same moment, it is your spirit's story. It's not like from birth until now has been an accident or wrong, and that now it's going to be different. Your life from the beginning till now has been exactly what it was supposed to be, according to you, not according to anyone else, whether you liked it or didn't like it. It was what was necessary for your soul. You called it in, you co-created it. So it really depends on how you're looking, even at your past. Are you looking at it through the eyes of the ego, or are you looking at it through the eyes of the spirit? And that is our quest every day. You're at a fork in the road. Here you are in this moment. You have somebody in front of you, maybe yourself. Do you go down the road of spirit, or do you go down the road of ego? And it is a choice. Sometimes not a conscious choice, right? So sometimes, especially in the beginning when we're growing, you might get mad when you didn't really want to, and you're going to go, whoa, what made me do that? I tell the story all the time about, I was in my 20s, way before my any kind of spiritual awakening, way before that. And of my husband at the time, one of them, husband du jour, husband of the day, I don't know what he said to me. I, to this day, don't know what he said to me, but it made me something inside of me reacted and threw tuna fish at him. I just threw it at him. And so sometimes we don't act consciously, right? But as you awaken, there may be a moment when you just don't do that. But a little spot along the way could be, why did I throw that tuna at him? I didn't question that at 25. I threw it at him because he was wrong and I was right. And by the way, that is the way the ego operates. So the ego is primarily about looking good, being right, winning, keeping you small, judging others, and fear. So if you want the definition of an unawakened state of living, that's it. And that's really what we're striving to awaken out of. We're striving to have more spiritual power than that, more healthier reactions to life than that. So, but I want to go back to the story for one moment. So from the ego's perspective, your story could be told as a sad story, and most of us, by the way, there are like 8 stories on the whole planet. It's not like you have a unique story. You share your story with probably 1 billion people. So whether the story is abandonment or abuse or neglect or, like I was never abused, but my parents weren't present to reality. So it was like, but whatever your story is, when the ego looks at that story, it's going to use it to disempower your present and your future. That's what the ego does. The ego is going to say, God, if it weren't for that mother, you could have been a really wonderful person. Or if your parents had just not gotten divorced, you could have had a healthy relationship. Or I don't know, whatever it is, right? If my parents had only taught me about this. So the ego's going to do whatever it needs to do to keep you from feeling too great and to keep you from feeling exalted or ennobled. On the other hand, when God looks at your story, it uses everything for good. Everything. It uses everything bad, everything good, everything indifferent, so that your past then begins to empower your future rather than disempower your future. And it's not like anything from the past changes. Nothing needs to change for you to live a spiritual life. Nothing. And nothing will change for you to live a spiritual life. Even when you become awakened, nothing's going to change. Really, you're still going to go to work. You're still going to have those kids. You're still going to have that body. And even though things do align themselves over time, you're still living in the world. You're still primarily living in an unawakened world. Now, one of the joys of spiritual community whether it's ours or another, online, in person. One of the joys of a spiritual community is that you get to be around people who know what awakened means, who are on your side to awaken, who tolerate your moments of asleepness, and who will coach you. And when we're awake, when we're on that journey, we need to be with those people, because otherwise it's just you're trying to take your spirit into an egocentric environment whose job it is to make you look bad, to make you wrong, to have you lose, to keep you small, to judge you, and to keep you afraid. Do you understand? And it's not because people are mean. It's just how it rolls. It's just the world we live in. So remember that the spirit, God, God is about love and collaboration, kindness, sharing, generosity, acceptance. In Unity Naples, like in any spiritual center anywhere, we're no different. Sacred service, classes, being on teams is all about the demonstration of love and collaboration and kindness, sharing, generosity, acceptance. It's about patience. It's about cultivating the ability to tolerate. It's all of the things you need to practice in order to actually live a spiritual life, in order to demonstrate a spiritual life. Because it's one thing for me to say this week after week, or whoever's preaching to you or teaching to you, whoever's teaching you or preaching you is going to say these things to you. But if when you leave on Sunday and you're not happy all week long, or you're in fear, or you're feeling worried about your future, or you still beat yourself up about your past, that's not the practice. The point is to cultivate the ability to not have that be that way, to you actually feel comfortable in your own skin, for you to feel powerful and present, for you to feel in relationship to the divine, for you to feel innocence, for you to feel perfect and whole. Because remember, in our New Thought theology, philosophy, faith, and way of life, there is no God judging you for being a sinner. You are not a sinner. You are a blessing. You are not a sinner. Sin in New Thought, sin means missing the mark. It's an archery term, means missing the mark. So any mistake you and I have ever made is about missing the mark. It's not about being bad. You're not bad. You're a blessing. You're not bad. You are divine, right? So what we're doing here, like everywhere, is I'm not giving you something that you're not or that you don't have. We're trying to peel away all of the onion skin to reveal the sacred center. It's what Marianne Williamson said when, I'm going to paraphrase her now, but in A Return to Love, she talked about how, now I even forget who it was, whoever made the Pieta. Who was that who made the Pieta? Who was it? I'm forgetting now. But anyway, when they were asked, how, God, who was the sculptor? For God's sakes, this is stupid. But anyway, whoever it was, how did you do that? How did you come up with that? And he goes, I didn't come up with anything. All I did was remove the excess marble and reveal what was already there. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here. We are removing what doesn't belong to you, what you've acquired over time, what stuck to you through your upbringing, through your life as an egoic centered being. Because if our parents didn't teach us that we were, thank you, Michelangelo, thank you, Facebook user. If our parents didn't teach us that we were whole and perfect and beautiful and worthy and deserving and divine, then we don't know that. How would we know? How would you know that you're that, right? So we're here to learn that we are that. So, so let's do another song. Amy and Jesse have one more song for us to really speak to to speak to who we really are. And then we'll come back, we'll talk to a little bit about maybe some practical practices you can do to be a spirit living in an ego world, because we need those practices. Of course, come to Unity or find a New Thought church near you. I mean, you have Unity, CSLs, Agape. There are many, 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 because this consciousness is increasing and growing. So remember that as we awaken, everyone awakens. I mean, when we are lifted, all are lifted. Do you understand? Jesus said, when two or more are gathered in the name and the name and the nature of love, all are lifted. So the energy of love is so much more powerful than the energy of hate. It's just powerful energy. So when we love unconditionally, when it's really hard to love, we become bearers of good news for people, because everybody is whole and perfect and of God, not just the good ones, and especially not the good ones. And who needs to know that? I mean, who needs to know that more than the ones who aren't so good? So that's our job. But in the meantime, let me bring Amy and Jesse back for one more song, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Go by without taking a stab at this tune. I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right. As I pull up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street, they got enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul, yeah. They follow each other on the wing, you know, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know that I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, yes, and no message could let any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Selfish kind of love, it's time that I realize that there are some with no home. They got a nickel alone. Could it be really me, pretending that they're not alone? Yeah, a will deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart, and a washed out dream. They follow the pattern of the way you see, 'cause they got nowhere to be. That's why I'm starting with me. Now I'm starting with the man in the mirror, yes. I'm asking to change his ways, yeah. And no message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Da, 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 make a change. You gotta make a change.
you guys. Thank you. Well, I was rocking out over here. That was so fun. Oh my God. I love adding a musical component to tonight. Very, very, very much. So, well, they're so good. We are so blessed as a community to have them. All right. So how do we? Well, let me just say, I want to kind of be um, just kind of a truth teller here. Like if you're here, you already know all this. If you're listening to me right now, you either go to Unity or we've done spiritual practice together, or you've been reading books, or something's been going on. So a little bit is we get to choose, like in every single minute, from which perspective to see, to hear, to understand, and to act. Like you get to choose to not retaliate. You get to choose, you get to choose to not do all of these things. Like, do you want to look good? Do you want to be happy, or do you want to look good? Do you want to be happy, or do you want to be right? Do you want to be happy, or do you want, do you want to win? So a little bit, we get to practice love, collaboration, kindness, and sometimes it's not easy because the world is hard. The world is hard, meaning, I was in Trader Joe's, and they had in the Trader Joe's in Fort Myers now, they have nobody controlling the door for masks, right? I mean, you either wear a mask or you don't wear a mask, but there's nobody there going like this or anything. And when I checked out, I said to the clerk, I said, well, I think you're so smart that you just let people manage themselves. It's like, whatever, what are you going to do? And she said, well, we had to, because everybody was so mean to us. So the ego showed up at Trader Joe's when they were inviting masks, and people saying, well, the government says we don't have to. We could sue you. We could sue you if you make us, right? But that love doesn't do that. Love doesn't do that. God doesn't do that. God does not judge us. God does not berate us. God does not shame us. So that's what we get to do. So I don't know what you have to do to remind yourself. Put a rubber band, and every time you want to retaliate to somebody or be sharp or something, then just don't do it. Just let your God self shine. That's what I say. Just let your God self shine. Yes? Will you let your God self shine your God self shine this week? Yes, of course. I see your names on here. Hi, Tony. Hi, Mark. Hi, Mark. Hi, Heather. Hi. So I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray with us. So our lesson today is really the distinction between the ego and the distinction between the spirit. You are a spirit who has an ego, but the ego was never meant to be. The ego was meant to survive in a physical universe, not to take over and to like really wreak havoc the way that it wreaks havoc with us. Your job is to be loving, that no matter what you think about yourself, you are beautiful and you are deserving and worthy of every good thing. And we get into alignment with that, and your life will work out. So before I pray, just a little bit about how you can support the broadcast. I mean, it takes your support to keep Amy and Jesse, or it takes your support to support Wednesdays. So if you feel so inclined to do a love offering, you can go to unitynaples.org/giving. You can also text to give, which is our favorite way and the easiest way. With your phone, you just text to 239-230-4704. If it's the first time, you'll have to answer some questions, but if you've done it before, then you just type in the amount you want to give and the word wisdom. And it's a special fund for Wednesday, so we know where your love offering is coming from. So Unity of Naples appreciates your support and your love to enable us to continue to do whatever it is that we do to awaken the world. And then finally, before we pray, I wanted to invite you to my class on Saturday. It's this coming Saturday from 9 to noon. Let me see if I can text you if I can give you the link. Oh, I can give you the link. There it is. So we have a dozen people already. I have room for about 4 more. So if you're so inclined, please sign up. It's only $25. We'll get to study together in person at Unity in our fellowship hall. And I promise you 3 hours that will change your life. I do. I know you're saying, really, Denise, 3 hours. I'm pretty sure I'm right. If I'm not right, I will give you back your $25. so, so come join me. Come join me. So I think that's it. I think I'm ready to pray with you. So I'm gonna take down this. Yeah, I'll leave the texting up because you can close your eyes. You don't have to look at it. So I love you. I'm so happy you choose to be with me on Wednesday nights. I hope you love my new backdrop. This is a piece of vinyl that looks like my metaphysical library. I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to keep it for a while. I hope you can join us on Sunday, either on campus or on Facebook Live. Reverend Claudia is going to be our speaker this Sunday, and she is absolutely amazing. I'll be hosting her, and we'll have Amy and Jesse back, of course. So until then, I'll either see you tomorrow or Saturday morning at Naples or Sunday somewhere. All right, so let's pray together. So take a moment and turn within with me. We close our outer eyes. Not because you need to close your outer eyes to pray, but because closing our outer eyes allows us to let the outer world be where it is without our attention. So we can move away from circumstances, conditions, situations, and we can open our inner eyes and begin to gaze into that space deep within us, in our heart center, where we are innocent and perfect and whole. Is that space within us that is the dwelling place of the infinite. And the infinite in me and the infinite in you is exactly the same. God cannot break itself into pieces. So the fullness of divinity is in each and every one of us equally, saint and sinner alike. And so I know it is that which we are, that is communing with each other right now. The spirit in me and the spirit of you is communing. And love is a truth between our souls. It's just the way it is. And so it is from that place and mindful awareness that we live in a universe governed by spiritual principles and mental laws that I speak my word for and about you, knowing that my word is a force to be reckoned with. And the word and what I know and hold and claim and proclaim and announce and declare on this day is that you are an awakened being, that you are aware that you have an ego. You are not an ego. You are aware that you have opinions. You are not your opinions. You are aware that you are capable of love and joy and peace and compassion and kindness and forgiveness. That's who you are. And I know that as we know this, that our lives become a reflection of that truth. The outer becomes more calm, more peaceful, more harmonious, more loving, more abundant, more vital, more vibrant, more healthy. It's just what happens. God is health. We are health. God is peace. We are peace. And so this is what I know. I know that the journey is assured to be successful. And that when we align with that truth and say yes to it, it escalates. So that's what I'm knowing today for myself, for you, and for everybody within the sound of my voice. And so the only thing left to do is to be grateful, is to give thanks for the opportunity to be together tonight, to give thanks for the opportunity to know spiritual truth in this moment and to live it tomorrow, and to simply know that the word I've spoken has been deposited intentionally, consciously, on purpose by me into the law so that it can manifest on our behalf. So we leave this time of prayer expecting and accepting its fulfillment. And we do this together by saying, and so it is. Amen. So it is. Amen. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I've loved being with you. I look forward to being with you again next Wednesday, same time. Bye.